Hello, everybody. Suzanne Kellner-Zinck. We have an important subject today in the sense that there are a lot of people out there who feel like if they say their truth, they're worried about hurting other people's feelings, not wanting to create dissension with themselves and the people involved, or just those folks who are fearful of having those hard conversations. And I do realize that some of the conversations that we need to have with the people who are so called closest to us, really great friends and family members, most specifically, are difficult. And yet, they are the most important conversations we need to have. This conversation that I'm having with you came up because I received a call from a much younger friend of mine who I met at the University of Haifa International School a few years back. And we created quite a friendship. She kind of looks up to me because I am old enough to be a parent to her in some sense. And she explained to me how she was fearful of being married because both of her parents were divorced and had remarried 3 times. And she did not want to repeat that pattern. So she forced herself to have these difficult conversations with her father first, who had been basically neglecting her for the last 25 years of her life, and her mother, who had a really hard time hearing her, basically saying, I did the best I could. Well, my friend was telling her, you're not hearing a word I'm saying. And at some point, she did break down in tears, the mother, when she finally heard what her daughter was relating to her. And it was one of the most healing conversations my friend had ever had. Most important, because this was indeed her mother. I want you to understand that there's some really important lessons to be had here in terms of this particular interaction. Number one, we don't want to repeat the negative cycles of our parents. This is something that happens too often with people. I see it in my practice too often. So it was excellent that my friend made a decision that that wasn't happening again and clearing up these problems before she gets married to a young man she has been dating for years, living with for years, helping and supporting one another. Second, it's a form of individuation. We cannot individuate ourselves and take autonomy over ourselves, which is important for our sense of self-love and self-respect, if we're unwilling to say our truth. And it's not necessary for a person to even agree with us. It's about our feelings and being heard and not blaming them, but just saying, this happened. This is the way I feel about it. And this is the way I would like us to correct it going further. And for those people who are able to hear and make those changes, it'll be much healthier relationships. For those who can't, well, my honest opinion is decide how little time you want to spend with these people, and it may go down to 0 because they may be toxic to your self-esteem, your self-respect. No one can do great work in this world if they feel like they're a non-person because they're never heard. And if they're never heard, they can never be respected for who they truly are. This is a reality, folks. So I'm going to tell you that you need to approach these people who you feel have been neglecting you, the people who you feel are using you, people who expect you to go way out of your way to be there for them, and they can't do the tiniest little thing for you in response, perhaps like my friend decided in a case she had talked to me about. Regarding another friend of hers, that she wasn't going to go out of her way to do a good deed for her friend. Because on the other end, the friend wasn't willing to do anything to help her with something that she needed help with. A much smaller thing, as it happened. So we need to assess who we are in this world, take a stand for who we are in this world by being vocal about what we care about when we feel shunned, neglected, abused, used, all of that stuff. Because until unless we're able to speak our truth, and be respected for it for what it is, nothing is going to change. And as my friend had told me, she had to take these actions because she felt totally, she used the word constipated, by being so stuck with all of these stuck negative emotions toward these people. It had to come out or it was going to harm her, make her ill. And I told her that was a really good thing she did because I know all too many people have gotten autoimmune illnesses that make their lives miserable. People have developed cancer and others who have other really bad reactions from never speaking their truth, holding all that stuff in. It cannot do that and expect to be healthy. Some people get into anxiety and depression as well. There's a reason why our inner wisdom or subconscious mind tells us that we feel uncomfortable in these situations. It's reminding us to take these actions regardless of how hard they feel. More often than not, as my clients have found over the years when I've given this type of homework to do, it is actually a lot easier than one would think. And more often than not, you get a really positive response if you're willing to go through the process. Building stronger, real relationships with people instead of people thinking that they like a facsimile of who you're pretending to be instead of actually who you are inside, which is a problem many of my eating disordered clients have, where they people please because of the chaos that they lived with in their homes of origin, just to be safe. But that doesn't work in the real world. Never will. And by the way, when people please other people, they tend to get really resentful at people who don't understand that these folks are going way out of their way to make this other person happy. They never tell them what they're doing, so they have no idea it's happening, number one. And number two, no one's asking you to people please anybody. I can tell you from my own life, I have really strong, rich relationships because people know who I am, where I stand, and I don't hold anything back. Never will, never did, from a very young age. So if you want real relationships with people, you want to have your own authority and autonomy in your life, you need to speak the truth and deal with whatever happens as a result of that. And you will know who your true friends are, who your real family members are, meaning the people who actually love and care for you for exactly who you are, even though you're as imperfect as they are, regardless of whether or not they realize the fact. And that will give you a much happier, more contented, and fulfilled life. I can promise you this. As always, I thank you for spending your time with me. Till next time. Bye-bye. We'll find it.